Hey guys, Damien here. I'll show you how I prepared the MP3 mix for Daisies by Justin Bieber. The song features this incredible guitarist, musician, and producer called McGee, MK.G-E-E. And the guitar part on this is absolutely fantastic. And it was a lot of fun to recreate it. What I use for this, as you'll see when we get into Logic, is I use the indie rock library from Orange Tree Samples to create the guitar part. And I had to downtune it to B flat because McGee is known for using baritone guitars that are downtuned quite low. So normally with the guitar libraries that Orange Tree Samples make, they're obviously always set up for E standard tuning. But this is 6 semitones down from that. So B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F natural, B flat. And so I had to actually transpose it up 6 semitones just so I could find the right guitar tone. If I played it the way it was, it wouldn't pick up anything below the low E on the guitar. So I pulled it up, found the right sound, then pulled it back down. Then I added some key switches for doing palm muting and harmonics. And I added those things into the track to give it that authenticity that the original track has. I always try to get it as close as I can to the original for the MP3 mix. For the bass, I used the 60s bass from Easy Bass by Toontrack, which is a Hofner bass that Paul McCartney used a lot in the Beatles. With the drums, I use Superior Drummer 3, which I've used for years now, and I think it is the gold standard for drum sample libraries. So I'm going to take you into Logic now and show you how it was all done. Okay, so here's my Logic session for Daisies. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute all the tracks. This is what I do when I start working out the MP3 mix, is I'll mute all the tracks and start with the first one and get the get the plugin up that I want to use and find the right sound, and there we go. So this is the indie rock plugin from Orange Tree Samples that I mentioned in the intro. So for this, I'm using the Off the Rails preset, and I've created my own user preset, which you see there in the title. So for this, what I had to do, as I mentioned, was in the setup. Now we go down here, we got to scroll quite a ways down. They need to set up a better system for finding exactly what you want rather than having to scroll down to find it. So let me see where it is. Excuse me. Now it's up here a little bit. Okay, so here we go. So this, if we pull it up a little further, so just pull this up one more time. Just been one tuning. So alternate tuning, you've got some preset ones that are there normally. But what I had to do was create a custom tuning. And then I pulled everything down 6 semitones. So you can see there it says -6 for every string. So I'll play back the track, and this is how it sounds. Now for this one, I used the quantize feature in Logic called Smart Quantize. And what that does is you still give it a note value, like 8th notes, 12th notes, 16th notes, whatever, but it will still pick up if there's little discrepancies, like things behind the beat or in front of the beat. So obviously you hear there's some little grace notes, and all that stuff. I'll show you a good example of a section in the song where there's a lot of grace notes, and I can show you what it sounds like with normal quantization turned on and then smart quantize. So let me just find, I think it's 51. So if I go back to that same spot and I change it to normal quantizing, sounds like this. And actually what I need to do is change it to 12th notes, like this. Now this is what it sounds like. So put it back to smart quantize. This is what it sounds like. So you'll hear there, just right at the end of that last bar that I played, I hit the key switch to bring in the harmonics articulation. So that's what's happening there. So let's go to the next track, which is the bass. And this is using the 60s bass expansion library for Easy Bass by Toontrack, the company that I use all the time, obviously for drums, as I mentioned, but also in some cases for bass stuff. And this Hofner bass is great. I did some Beatles songs for hit tracks that I might even show you in a future video how that went. And and so this is what it sounds like with the guitar. Hold on. That's strange. I'm not hearing anything. Oh, it's probably, that's true. One more time. There we go. And my idea with using the bass actually came about because I thought about this. Let's say, for example, if a guitarist wants to play along with it, but obviously doesn't have a baritone tuned guitar or a guitar tuned down as low as that, but wants to play kind of similar voicings, then at least the bass is playing those notes. So if someone's playing guitar along with the MIDI file and they mute the guitar tracks, or someone's playing with the minus guitar or bass and drums mixes of the MP3 files, they can do that. So that's basically what that's all about. Didn't have to do any extra things to the track. It just is what it is. So let's go to the next track, which is exactly the same indie rock library as on the first track, but this is more for adding in the harmonics that I hear particularly in the chorus. So for example, if we go to Where's the first instance? I think it's here. If we go, take it 2 bars earlier so that the key switch triggers the harmonics. This is what it sounds like. Solo it. Okay, that's what that sounds like. Then there's a Hammond that is quite low in the mix, so you'd really have to listen to it on headphones to really get it. But again, that's the beauty of using a stem splitter to separate the vocals from the instrumental, because then you can hear things you probably couldn't have heard if you were just working on a track with the vocals in, which I've been doing for, God, up until probably earlier this year or later last year. I can't say exactly when, but no, stem splitters have been a life changer, or really a game changer as far as that's concerned. But so that comes in. I'll show you in that chorus again. I'm just using the Vintage B3 plugin that's in Logic. And I just love the sound of it. I was using the Vintage Organs plugin by Native Instruments, and I thought that was great, but then I was using this and I felt like this sounds way better, particularly for like gospel sounding stuff. It is just really, really good. So I'm using the rotary knob on my keyboard to do some expression controlling. So you'll see in the event list editor here, there's all these expression events. So, as you'll see, I'm pulling it down and bringing it up. So that's another way of controlling volume. But not every plugin out there will support expression controls. Like, for example, Native Instruments Contact, you have to use another controller, like say volume, to do what that does. So that's why I sometimes have to edit the tracks and change the controller to a volume control rather than expression. But this is what it sounds like. Okay, last but not least, the drums. So for this, obviously, as I said before, I use the Tune Track plugin, Superior Drummer 3. So I'm using there's an indie kit, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute when it loads up. It's taking its time, which normally it shouldn't, and it's probably because I'm doing a video at the same time. But this is Indie Dry, which is one of the presets in the main library, and like pretty much every preset in this library, it is all the drums are meticulously recorded, so you hear even the slightest bit of from the lowest ghost note dynamics to just whacking the thing out of it. And toms, just a little simple 4-piece kit. So yeah, so no, I use that all the time for acoustic stuff, as I've said before. So this is what it sounds like. I'll play it from the start of the first verse. In fact, I'll go to that same chorus. You can hear it bring it up in the dynamics. Bring everything else back in. Yeah, so that's it. So then, as I've shown you before, I bring up the mastering plugin to analyze the track to get the best mastering chain for the MP3 mixes. And yep, export all the different mixes. I have to do demo mixes where I find a particular part of the song, and I'll do a bit of deleting between locators to bring that particular part of the song to the start of the demo. And I've always got to make it so that it's about 50 seconds long or so, so it can be played on the website. And there you go. All right, there you go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and check the MIDI file and backing track out for Daisies in the HitTracks website, www.midi.com.au, and I'll see you in the next go round.